There once was a place enchanting your darkest desires. There once was a road that crossed all your tranquility. A fight for true love, a fall for timeless lust, secrets of the labyrinth, destroyed bonds at the glance in a mirror. Hearts closed, thorns in prison, a spirit hardened. Rise up, warrior, confess your truth. Join us inside Black Garden.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Create Dominion podcast with your host, Dominion, and welcome to another wonderful episode of the second season of our wonderful and illustrious Black Garden dating, relationship, and marriage series. We're very honored and privileged today. Y'all, we got a doctor in the Black Garden that's going to join us. We have Dr. Jodi Aman out of the Rochester, New York, the best place to get New York style pizza. And how are you doing today, Jodi?
I'm great. I'm so glad to be here.
Awesome. And so can you tell the audience a little bit about who you are?
Yeah, I'm a psychotherapist. I'm a doctor of social work. So I've been doing this for 27 years, going on 27 this year. So I've been doing it a long time. I'm also in a super conscious loving relationship for the same amount of time, 27 years. So I've been working with couples. I work with families. I work with young people, really helping them, read the world, understand themselves, understand other people. Heal from trauma. I do a lot of trauma recovery work. So yeah, I'm just really excited to be here and share some of the gems that I've picked up after, you really are in the front row seat in getting to know people and their experiences and their problems and how they recover and their resilience. I'm inspired every day. I'm really happy to be here to share.
Awesome. And again, I'm just, very, honored to have, Dr. Jodi here. And so for those listening and viewing here today, you have to understand, I want you to really take hold of what she just said. She has 27 years of experience in this field with psychotherapy and, helping individuals mentally guide themselves through, life and relationships. And I don't want that to be said lightly. Not to date or age anybody, but again, I'm 28 years old. So you have to imagine, you know, essentially my lifespan is the experience she's had in this field. And so, with that being said, as you're listening, I hope that you take just one to two things that resonates with you. Like I said, everything that being said you may not resonate with every little thing said or every nugget or every piece of advice, but I just encourage everyone to find one thing that they can apply daily to their life to help themselves, reach the level that they want to reach and to have dominion over their own mind. And so with that being said, again, y'all, it's Black Garden. We're back for season 2. It's episode 4. And we always start with this in a Black Garden. I hope you bring your Neosporin, bring your hydrogen peroxide and your Band-Aids if you need them, because some things that may be said, you may get cut because, like I said, we're coming from a wealth of knowledge and 27 years of truth and honesty. And, we're not going to come at you with the fluff. She's going to speak from experience of what she's lived and what she's experienced with a walkthrough with her and her clients. And so we're going to come from a variety of topics. We're going to talk about relationship red flags, advice when dealing with relationships. We're going to talk about that scary word of narcissistic behavior. And like I said, it's going to be a wonderful, wild ride inside the Black Garden. And so buckle up and make sure you have your Band-Aids and your first aid kit. And let's join us inside the Black Garden. So with that being said, the first question I have for you is what inspired you and what makes you most passionate about your psychotherapy and your line of work?
I'm so honored to be a witness to people's healing process. I know when people come first meet with me, they're really scared. Their life's not going the way they want it to go. It might be really horrible. They might have experienced something really awful. And they come really not with much hope, but a little bit. That's why they came. And sometimes I get scared for them too. I'm like, oh no, how am I going to help this person? Over and over again, over these 27 years, I've seen people in the most broken places and I've seen them feel better. And so after several years of the first decade of it, I knew I had faith then that when the next person came in and they were that broken and I thought, I wish there was a real therapist in this room. I, I had faith then that because I've seen it so many times, I had this retrospective view that people could get better and that people do get better. People have resilience and people recover. It's amazing. It's incredibly inspiring. But having that faith and I hold that confidence and I hold it for them until they see it themselves. So this is such a huge honor because people tell me things they don't tell anybody else. And that's just an honor. I feel so honored and so um, you know, my uncle said, I had an uncle that just passed recently, and he said, once you hear somebody's story, you can't help but love them. And that's been so true for me. People change me. I change them, they change me. And, the world's a better place. And then we both go on and influence other people in our life and influence the other people in our life. Um, yeah, that's what I'm here for.
Awesome. I love the breakdown that you just gave because, again, coming from a place of humility. And so, if you're on here listening and maybe you're just a dating coach or maybe you are, in that psychotherapy profession, I just encourage you, in your profession to be, stay humble and have humility. Again, I love what you said. It's an honor to help people. That's what I got from what you said. And a lot of times, in the professional arena, and it's not just, psychotherapy. It could be chiropractors. It could just be, physicians in general. We've all had experience where not everybody in that professional arena has that same humility or that same care for their clients or their patients or and people in general. And so when you have someone with a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of experience that also, what she's saying is every day she wakes up, she gets to help somebody. It's
Yeah. My grandpa used to say that. He used to wake up and like, as he was putting his pants on, he'd say, thank you, God, for another day so that I may help someone. Thank you, God, for another day so that I might help someone. And he was just like, lived his life that way. And I think I've had that on, all four sides of my grandparents really love to help people. So it's like in my blood.
I love that. I love that. And again, like you said, another thing you said is just reach one, teach one. You being that way, I encourage everyone that you don't know who you may inspire or you don't know who you influence. Like, you just putting a smile on your face and helping a client, you got to think that, that client, they're going to go to their job. They're going to go see their family. They may or may not have kids, but they're going to, talk to their kids and, the fruits of your labor, is exponential. By you taking, care for your clients, you're helping them take care of not only themselves, but the people around them. And then when they see that glow, they can say, I was, blessed and fortunate enough to work with, Dr. Jodi, and she's really helped me, you know, see myself in a, more enhanced light, a better version of myself. And, as we grow with humanity, more people that, you know, heal and grow and see that version of themselves, the more the society will become. And so I just encourage everyone as you're listening to take heed to that and just live every day with a mindset of, hey, I get to help people today. I get to,
Yeah.
whatever job that you work, like, hey, even if you're a fast food worker, hey, I get to serve
Yeah.
McDonald's cheeseburgers today, put a smile on someone's face because you never know what people are going through behind closed doors.
Amen to that. You never know what people are going through. And so your kindness could just save them.
And so we want to always make sure again that we're kind as well. And so with that being said, like I said, we're here to break down those relationship red flags. And so we're going to come from different perspectives because I know there's a wide net of viewers and listeners out there. There's some that may be already married with families, some that may be engaged or just got in a relationship, and also those that are single and still searching for that partner and kind of wanting to know what those red flags should be as they're on that journey and on that search. And so I want to start with individuals that are just starting that journey of, hey, I'm ready to get out there and date. And, what should I be looking out for? And so I'll let you roll with your expertise on, if I'm an individual looking to date, as a man or woman, what are some of your most common red flags that you've seen and as you've worked within your expertise?
Sure, sure. So when you're starting to date somebody, you're really looking, the first thing is, most people are meeting people online now. So the first thing you're looking at, are they responding? Are they responding? And they don't have to respond immediately, but are they responding kindly, consistently? Are they, coming and going? Sometimes they text you for a while and they don't text for days, or ignore you for a while and then they come back. And like, any of that could be a red flag. Now, we have to think about, red flags are not deal breakers, right? There's a difference. Red flags, just be cautious. Take it with a grain of salt, look for other red flags, make sure this is okay. It's a caution sign. It's not a deal breaker. It can be. If there's too many red flags, that's a deal breaker. But there are things that are deal breakers. At first, if somebody is not communicating well, not responding, um, you're definitely not on the same page and mutuality and what you're looking for. What you really want to do is, instead of being like, am I worthy enough for them? Do they like me? Do they like me? Really focus on, are they worth my time? Is this person worth my time? I have so many young clients be doing dating and just trying to find somebody, and they're just constantly looking for someone who would think they were worthy. What if that person is not for you? They could be mean and a jerk, but you're so busy focused on, do they deem me as worthy, that you don't even see that stuff. So anyone who makes you feel bad about yourself, anyone who makes you feel so good, like that love bomb, that's a red flag. Anyone who makes you feel bad about yourself, kind of like a backhanded remark, those are red flags, especially if it's the first couple of weeks of a relationship. It's pretty much a deal breaker if they're doing that stuff right in the beginning, making you feel guilty, making you feel bad about yourself, gaslighting. If you catch them in a lie in the first couple of weeks of a relationship, goodbye. So those are the red flags that might happen right at the beginning there. And then as you go into relationships, obviously there's an unlimited list of red flags that are possible. They're not all deal breakers, but they're things to caution yourself about. And I do have a blog about this, so you could ask me questions as well. And we could also link to my blog below so they get more of them.
Well, I love what you said there with the love bombing and the gaslighting because I heard this recently and it was talking about with young people and dating is a lot of us that are searching for that partner, we're falling in love with the idea of being in love and not actually the person that we're pursuing or with. And so with your expertise, you know, what advice would you give to someone that's kind of in the wrong relationship or, in that, hey, I don't really love you or like you. I'm more of a tolerating you. How would you help someone kind of one recognize that and
People are
be
really
aware?
scared to be alone, right? So people are really scared to be alone, or they're really scared that if they want to make something work, even though it's not working for them, they want to make it work so they don't seem like a failure. Especially if they felt like they failed at relationships before, they feel overly responsible to make that relationship work, if even if the other person's not doing anything. And I think the best thing that someone could do in that situation is get together with girlfriends if you're a woman, or get together with guy friends or whatever. It doesn't matter the gender. Get together with friends, like build a community, because it's very hard to leave someone like that, especially if they have some power, using power tactics over you. Very hard to leave someone like that when you are isolated. And oftentimes they will isolate you too. And so you really want to have build a community, stay connected to your friends and family, build more relationships with your friends and family. Make sure you're seeing them, because it's only then you could have a distance sometimes to see that person for who they truly are. And you know that you'll be okay if you break up with them. Actually, you'll be better off if you break up with them.
I love the way you said that because a lot of times they always say it takes a village, and I love the idea of surrounding yourself with safe people, you know, and
We're
you have
not we're not a self in a vacuum. We're only a self in relationship. So if we're around people that don't treat us well, that gets reflected back, and our sense of self is affected by that. We have a very poor sense of self if we're around someone who treats us bad. And if we're around people that lift us up, we have a more robust sense of self. When we're isolated, it's hard to have any sense of self at all. So it's very thin. So you want to be around people who lift you up. In your significant relationships, please be around. They're significant because they're, 24/7 relationships. And so you need to be around someone who lifts you up. Don't settle, especially at the beginning of a relationship. Don't settle. And don't settle even if it's like you have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Even if you've been with someone for a long time and you feel like you invested a lot, if it is not working, and if this person is not nice to you and does not lift you up, leave. Leave them.
Yes, I love that you said that because a lot of people, we spend some people spend years, so much time avoiding that word you just said is just leave. Again, which
Yeah,
I
they
will
they're like, "I'll
maybe.
make it work," and really they take that, like I said, they take that responsibility that they have to make this work, and they think their love can change the other person, or, if I just was a little, because the other person gaslights them and makes them think it was their fault, and so they try to be better and try to be better. They're always looking for that love bomb to come back, right? And then initially, someone's treated them like a queen. And that goes away pretty quickly if this is that kind of relationship. If this is a relationship with someone who uses power tactics to control somebody else, like these are not good relationships.
That's awesome. And then again, like I said, you always have to watch out for that. I encourage everyone to, have awareness and, listen to the knowledge that's been given. Like I said, I would encourage you to, as you're listening and viewing, after listening to this episode, I encourage you to, read that blog and, take some notes, maybe have a little journal or a little vision board in your office or at home to say, hey, especially if you're in this newer stage of, dating and trying to find that person in their journey, you want to use it like, I always equate it to like having children. You're kind of like a baby first learning how to walk, right? Hey, you're ready to get out there in the dating world. And, there's a lot of, pitfalls and like you said, there's a lot of potholes in the road when you're on that journey. But if you have the knowledge and the wisdom that's gained through, again, being surrounded by safe people and seeking higher counsel, then you could, have that, book with you like, I'm supposed to go left here, not right.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm supposed
It,
to.
and I'm a romantic too. I really want to talk about good relationships because they're worth it. I think that, when we're talking about red flags, it could make people nervous. If you've had bad relationships before, sometimes you kind of like, is everyone bad like that out there? No, there are good, uplifting people. There is someone for you. There's lots of people for you. I don't believe that there's one soulmate. I think we have several, but you could also there's people that you could be with and be happy with. You do have to put some work in there, but this is coming out on Valentine's Day, so we really have to acknowledge that relationships are work, but they're so much worth it. And it's wonderful when you have somebody that's mutual, that lifts you up, that cares about you, that really sees you. And we really want to be seen for who we are, the goodness in us. And there are people that will see that. And you deserve that. You totally deserve that. And so you really want to go out there and find that person. Find that person.
I love that you said that because again, like you said, yeah, we have, the world is judgmental, right? Everything, we see on social media, it's like the gaslighting, that love bombing. It's that, we always see the negative sides of relationships. And, I just finished the New Testament of the Bible the other day. And I just remember one statement coming from that is that love is essentially acceptance. And you know, it's accepting, hey, this is the person that I want to be with for the rest of my life. or this is the person that I'm looking to marry. And so, um, we really have to, one, show ourselves grace because, like you said, not every relationship is, social media or some like reality TV show where
Yeah.
it's, whether it's domestic violence or whether it's verbal abuse or, everything is not, you know, a negative light. And so, with that being said, what are some, key factors and some great, you know, daily techniques that you've utilized to, cultivate a successful relationship?
I think really listening. I think we've lost the art of listening, in our culture. And, people are, when you're hearing someone talk or tell about something, you're thinking of how you're going to respond. That's our own anxiety. We're kind of centering ourselves there when somebody else is talking. But the art of really letting somebody who's talking be the center of the conversation for those moments when they're talking and really listening. So active listening, like looking at them, nodding along, really just listening, not trying to think of what you're going to say next or how you're going to respond or how you could relate to what they're saying. No, how you're going to give them advice. No, really listening and maybe even doing prompting like, tell me more, or that is interesting, or I want to hear more about that. And what happened then? Those kind of prompting that really let someone know that you hear them and you see them. People feel so worthy. Being heard is healing because it's so validating, and that's what we need. When we're hurt, it's an invalidation. Anytime someone hurts us or disses us or betrays us or whatever, it's an invalidation of our of respecting us or our self-worth, right? It's an invalidation. So unvaluing, you're devalued. And so the response is how we heal in the world is being validated. So if our significant other listens to us, they don't have to do anything. People get so stressed when someone's upset and they're telling you about a story, and you're like, I don't know how to help them. Really listening is the most important thing you could do, because listening and being like, wow, I understand, or oh my goodness, those kind of little phrases are very validating. You're saying you understand and you see them. You almost don't have to do anything else. They just lift right up. They feel better. They feel heard and relieved. So listening is number one, the most important thing you could do in a relationship, and appreciating each other. So saying thank you for the little tiny things, right? We've been married 27 years. We still thank each other for emptying the dishwasher. No one has a particular job. It's like whoever does it, whoever's around, does the dishes, whatever, does the dishwasher, does the laundry. Well, I do the laundry, but we do have some roles, but but we thank each other. My husband still thanks me for doing the laundry. I love doing the laundry, but we thank each other for every little thing. It's so nice. That's acknowledging, that's validating. It lifts you up and it invigorates you when someone notices those things that you're doing. So there's little tiny things that we could do during the day, constantly lifting each other up. It's going to bond us together. And so when some little frustrations come up, it's easy. We're just compassionate because we're not all this baggage because we've just spent so much time appreciating each other. A physical affection is so important. We're social beings, and all other primates do that social grooming. They pick bugs off each other. And that is not only just to free those animals from bugs, it actually relieves the nervous system. It settles the nervous system. And the same way it is when we get a massage or something like that. It's so good for us to touch. Touch is a huge way that we feel seen, heard, cared about. So those are important things. Some people have difficulty with touch because of some history, but most people love it. And it really helps them feel cared about, loved, and worthy. I know there's the love languages and everyone has their own love languages. I don't subscribe to that too much because I think there's a lot of different ways that we could express how we feel, and we want to talk. In a relationship, you have to negotiate the relationship because every relationship's a little bit different and the needs of each partner and the partners together are different. But putting that relationship at the center, like that's the most important thing, the relationship, not one or the other. The most important thing is the relationship to nurture. And it's really powerful when you do that.
I love everything you said because it brought me to one thing, and it's that communication and communicating your needs. I think a lot of times, especially from the man's point of view, is that we don't ever tell, the woman, our needs, like you said, putting the relationship first at the center. If you like touch, hey, I love it when you rub my shoulders, or, just the simple things like you said, like thank you, like, hey, you know, this is, especially as you're developing that relationship, like, hey, this is how my childhood was. I was never appreciated, or this and that. And so, also, I would say don't use your partner's, trauma and baggage against them. Again, like those power moves that we were talking about earlier, you know, try to listen to them. Like she said, her first thing was listen. Hey, when they're telling that story, active listen. Again, don't, just listen to respond, or don't, say, I hear you. Again, listen to them. And then a part of the relationship too is, applying that daily, like you said. So if like, hey, when we first got together, our first 3 months in, we had a long, deep conversation about childhood trauma. So again, remember those conversations, remember those moments. And then when you're going out through your daily life, again, like you said, you and your husband say thank you, for every little thing. And, I know people are listening to that, this episode, and say, that's really simple. And a lot of times we take a lot of things for granted, like doing the laundry, doing the dishes. And again, it goes right back to, your personality, and what we were saying at the beginning of the episode is that you wake up every morning with that I get to attitude. I get to have a loving relationship. And I want to talk to the individuals out there that, maybe are still on that journey. You deserve a loving relationship. I want to start with there, manifest what you want. You deserve to have that happy, relationship. You deserve to wake up every day with a I get to a mindset. And you deserve to, you deserve a man that says, if you're a woman out there, you deserve to have a man that thanks you for doing the dishes and doing the laundry and cleaning the house, or whatever the role is. Same thing with women. As a man, you deserve to have a wife that, nurtures you and cares for you and consoles you and says thank you for cutting the grass, thank you for plowing the snow, thank you for picking up all the groceries, just simple things like that. And so I just want to, be a word of encouragement for everyone listening and viewing that maybe has not found, that soulmate, if you will, or that forever partner. One, show yourself grace and have the mindset that you deserve that. And two, like Dr. Jody said, go get it. You
Go get
deserve
it.
it. And
Yeah.
so with that being said, shifting to those couples that are kind of, seasoned, or, already been, locked in, if you will, or maybe they even have kids together, or may not be
Can I
married.
just say one more thing for the people who are new and are looking? One more thing is that there's people out there for you, and it seems like no, but what you need is like a pool of people. And we have that less now because we're not in person with big groups of people anymore. And if you're in your 20s, like you're not in school anymore, maybe, and you're like, where am I going to find these people? Do something. Like get involved in some activities when people are in person. Because yes, online, there's a pool. That's where we find it, right? That's the only place we find it. But if that's not working for you, or it works for a lot of people and it's great. But if it's not working for you, you need a pool of people. Anytime there is a pool of people that you're attracted to, the gender or, that you're attracted to, you'll find somebody. That's what happens. People just match up when there's a pool of people. When there's a lot of them, you find somebody. And so if you're like feeling hopeless and feeling like I'm not going to get somewhere where there's people, and you'll find somebody.
Also,
Now we can move on to the seasoned relationship.
I love that you said that as a last, again, that was a great last nugget. Because a lot of times we kind of sit in that hopelessness of, oh, well, I'll never find someone. So I love that you said that. And so, like we said, for the season, people that are in relationships, like I said, maybe you might have children already, maybe you're engaged, maybe you've been married for years, whatever, you know, box that you check, this next section's tailored towards you. One question I have, I know you've had a very, loving, happy 27 years. What what stops relationships from that burnout after that honeymoon phase, and what has allowed you and your husband to keep the spark lit for so many years?
Well, definitely what I've already said, appreciating each other for every little thing, negotiating, being clear. Instead of assuming something and thinking something's implied, we are explicitly negotiating what our expectations are. And it's not like you do it once and that's it for 27 years. You're constantly doing that because you change and you learn new stuff and whatever. And so that means like chores, we're negotiating intimacy, we're negotiating what we want to do with our life, what we're valuing, how we want to spend our time. We're negotiating all of that explicitly instead of just assuming that we're on the same page, which a lot of people make that mistake. People are like, I don't know what he's thinking. I'm like, why don't you ask him? With this with my clients, I can't imagine not asking him. What did he mean by that? Right. So, so having that open communication and spending time together, making sure that you keep that relationship at the center. When you're busy people, you have kids and then you have parents who are aging. You have to take care of your kids. You have to take care of your parents. We're in this middle place. Most people in that season that you're talking about, there's little kids, and then there's sometimes your parents are helping you because they're young, and sometimes they're a little bit older, and you're in this middle place and you're trying to help everybody else. You have to put that time in with your partner. You have to make sure you're going on dates. You have to make sure you're letting them know that you're thinking about them, sending texts like, I miss you today. Uh, those kind of things are important because that's your person, right? That's your person that's going to help you through all of it. And life is, there's a lot of stuff going on in life. It's really, really hard. And this is your person that's going to walk you through it. And you really want to make sure that that relationship's nurtured. So when you do have a stressful situation, you can handle it together instead of pulling apart because of the stress. And that breaks up relationships, going through really hard time when you're not solid, when you don't have a solid base, it will break you up, that stress.
That's a great point that you made because, again, it's all about the roots, right? If you're not deeply rooted, again, like you said earlier, keeping the relationship in the front and centered, again, rooted just like a tree, you're not gonna, when the wind comes, you're gonna blow away if you're not rooted. And I love that you said about dating because I want to, ask you a few questions on that. One from a personal sense, what is you and your husband's favorite go-to date? And then the second question to follow up with that is, what are some tips that you would give couples that are maybe not, good at dating? Like, how would you know, help them, get back into that spark?
Yeah. If you don't have any money, go find a hike, so there's things that you could do that are free. You could walk somewhere. You could park it with a nice view and just be sitting outside, get a picnic together. So there are dates that you could take that do not spend any money. My husband and I love to walk. So, or take a hike. And sometimes we get up in the morning. We do have a lake near us, like Lake Ontario. I live, a few miles, several miles from there. So we're able to drive our car there in the morning and sit in the morning in the summertime. I miss that now. But we take our coffee up there and we just sip it. And then we do go out to dinner because we could talk. We're sitting face to face and there's no distractions of our house and to take our attention. If we were home and eating dinner together or something, there's the kids, there's the stuff to clean, and you got to clean the dishes. There's so many things to distract you and immediately get up and start doing. But if you're at a restaurant, you're just looking at each other. And so that's our go-to if you had that budget for that. But think about how much a divorce costs. My mother-in-law always said that you have to put a little bit of investment into your relationship because a divorce is very, very costly. So that makes it worth it. But again, you could do this without money because you could just bring a picnic somewhere. The other thing that we do, so this is really personal, but I still recommend it to people. We go to antique stores. So we're a little bit environmentally friendly. We care about that. So we don't, shop for a lot of things. Walking around antique stores, there are a number of them in the Western New York. But walking around, you see stuff from your past, you see toys from your past, you see interesting things. Some of them are handmade things that never saw before. So it's interesting. It's stimulating. Right? It gives you something to talk about. You're pointing at it to each other. Sometimes you walk away from each other because you're looking at different things and you come back. Did you see that thing? So it's stimulating the mind because it's different and the things are novel. And we needed that, especially during COVID. We needed something. It was our go-to during COVID because it was safe thing to do. And we'd just walk around for a little while. And sometimes you'd pick up something that's really cool and bring it home. And everyone comments on it because it's so unique. It's not something you bought just in the whatever Pier 1 or something that everyone has, or TJ Maxx, that everybody has. These are really unique, one of a kind things, and often not expensive. And you're not adding to the environmental problem by buying retail. So we love to do that. Our house looks really cool. People always comment about how cool our house is because we have these little, knickknacks that are one of a kind. So it's fun for us. It's fun for us. My husband likes to collect old toys, so he's always looking for old toys. But yeah, so that's what we do. But you have to find something for you. Maybe it is some kind of hands-on project. Maybe it's a workout group. Um, my sister and brother-in-law take piano lessons together. I think it's so cool. But they're very active. So they're on like a golf league, and I don't know. And I know people just do pickleball together. I have some clients who do pickleball. And there's stuff to do if you're looking. And it's good for your mind. It's good for your body. It's good for your relationship. Yeah, to get out there and do stuff in the community.
Awesome. I love that you broke down dates because, again, I feel like dating is one of those foundations, those roots in the tree of the relationship that, gets not necessarily completely lost, but like we were saying, it gets, dimmed down throughout the relationship of, when you kind of get complacent and content with, where you're at, you have to, again, explore new things together and make sure you remember. I encourage couples to remember why you fell in love in the first place. Those
Yeah.
first dates, the moment you laid eyes on each other at the dinner table on that first date and realize like, hey, this is going to be the one that I want.
I mean, sometimes
Remember
you have to
those.
see the other one as the other, like sometimes you're roommates and sometimes it's just too comfortable. And sometimes you want to be a little uncomfortable to kind of, seduce the other person, see the person as the other. So that's why going on a date allows you to do that. You're out of your house, they're dressed up a little bit, you're dressed up a little bit, and you kind of and so you're kind of falling in love all over again because it's like there's a bit of newness, not that comfortable, like my roommate, I could look like this in front of them, and there's always live music in every city. There's always live music. Sometimes it's free, sometimes it's costly, but there's museums everywhere, or even like a gallery. I know that's weird. Maybe people don't go to art galleries, but usually they're free and you can look around. Sometimes they're too small and it's not much time, but it's like looking at something that you don't normally look at. It's stimulating, right? So that's an important piece. Or go to art museum that, we've lived here we haven't been to our art museum. We went to the art museum on our first date, Ted and I, and we haven't been there, I don't think since. My niece's wedding was at the art museum, but other than that, we have not been to the museum. And we talk about it. We're like, we should do that if we're looking for something to do sometime. It's just different. We need something novel, something different, because then we'll experience our partner as the other, and you might spark a little attraction, a little fun, and when you get back home.
Awesome, awesome. Again, I love, like I said, how you broke down dating because, again, that is one of the pillars. So, a couple other questions just for the seasoned folks. I know there's some viewers and listeners wondering, how do you, just with your psychotherapy experience, how do you balance ego within your mindset with maybe the partner makes more money than the other? How do you like balance that if it may?
Um, yeah, I've always made more money, and it was actually not a problem for us. So I do realize that it is for other people, but they're threatened by something. There's some feeling of inadequacy that's just triggering, and that could be from a lot of different reasons. It could be if it's a heterosexual relationship and the male partner makes less, they could be threatened because it feels demasculating or something like emasculating or something like that. But there's a lot of reasons. It could be that the person's guilting them or controlling the money, or it could be some other insecurity. That there's a lot of different reasons why that might happen, and that those could be healed. Maybe you need to talk to somebody to just realize why you feel that way. Is it the other person? Is it the relationship that's causing the problem? Or is it something, from your past or your history that's making you be triggered by this, and how you could heal that so you don't doesn't get in the way. So that's not it's not an easy answer, because it really depends. It really depends on what the issue is and why, and what the context of it is. So is the context in the relationship, is the other person making you feel bad, or is the other person hiding things, or the other person's controlling things, or making you feel bad about spending or whatever? Or is everything fine? You just feel bad. That you need to understand that first, I guess.
Awesome, awesome. I'm glad you said that because, I know that's, especially with different gender roles and everybody kind of wants to, hey, growing up, back in the day, it was like, hey, you stay at home with the kids, cook, clean, husband works. And it's like, kind of that evolution of the dating, of relationships and dating, being able to, adapt over time, has helped, successful relationships, I feel, flourish, of not putting yourself in that box of, like you said earlier, listening, what are your needs for your relationship? And I think that's most apparent now is, focusing on what you can do for your relationship. Everybody's not the same cup of tea. So, be doing what makes you happy and your partner happy and what's best for what you're trying to cultivate in life.
Awesome.
And so another question I have, I know that's another like double-edged sword with the money thing is, do you feel that a relationship where trust issues has been broken or infidelity has happened, do you believe that they could heal and be an even better relationship than it was once before?
For sure. For sure. I've seen it go both ways. I've seen people not make it through an infidelity incident, and I've seen people get stronger after it. I've seen both. And it really just depends on the meaning that they make, right? If they think, well, there was a problem in a relationship, that's why it happened, but they're both committed to fixing things, it can. It can work. Everybody is different. That's important to know. And you're going to get everyone else's opinion about it, which is really difficult. I think that's the most difficult part. But if it works for you, it works for you. And if it doesn't, it doesn't, And so when I'm working with a couple that's trying to recover from an infidelity incident, the person who betrayed needs to have a lot of humility, because their partner is hurt. And if they gaslight them, it's like game over. Like, what are we doing here? If they gaslight them or say, you just gotta forgive me, or you're overacting, or why you keep asking about it, or all those things, and they're not humble, if they're gaslighting, it's like, I don't know where we're going with this. I keep having to invite them to responsibility. But if they're humble, so healing. And if they're like, I realized my mistake, everything. And if the other person's willing to give it another shot, there's a chance for that couple. And really, the person who was betrayed on, the person who did not have the affair, it's hard for them, because they're like, am I a fool? They're so worried about everyone thinking, if I go back to this person and it happens again, everyone's going to think I'm a fool. But they have to think about it as they have their eyes wide open, right? So if they're going back with their eyes wide open. They know the risks. They know they're making that choice, even with the risks. There's no foolishness in that. They already know the risks. Foolishness would be if you didn't know the risks and act like there wasn't any, right? But if you have real intention and your eyes are open, you could go back into that relationship empowered, instead of feeling like a victim, or empowered instead of feeling like everyone's judging you for going back to this person. If it's right for you, it's right for you to go back. And so it's okay. And if your eyes are open, then you know that you can never be a fool, right? And that helps them get over that little bit of, I want to go back, but there's this little thing is saying that, am I a fool for going back? And it allows them to open their heart again. And they don't have to trust right away, right? They don't have to. The other person has to earn it. It's not their job to trust. The other person's job to earn that trust back. They could decide to stay with the person even if they don't trust them yet. And the trust could be built over time. It's like a willingness to allow the person to build your trust again. And if they don't, because they're gaslighting you and they're acting like it was no big deal, or they're like, just want to get over it. I want to talk about it again. Stop talking about it. That's not building trust back, right? That's not going to really help and build trust back. And it works because the other person feels bad about themselves. Those are power tactics. And you might stay, but that's not a healthy relationship. And you're probably not going to feel good about yourself if you stay in that, you know?
Awesome. I love that you broke that down because, I know that's kind of like the taboo. Well, this person cheated or, what was me? And so I love that you broke that down. And so next thing I have is, like I said, we live in a world today, where mental health is growing more important and, decency of relationships is dependent on, again, that communication and all the great things we've talked about in this episode. And so, with your experience, what advice would you give to those that are looking to seek, a psychotherapist and also, what value do you feel is, of utmost value when it comes to seeking out, that higher counsel? And is it worth it to, get a psychotherapist slash someone to help?
Yeah. I think the couples wait too long. One person might have their foot out the door, or it might be too late. Not always. I mean, sometimes it seems too late and they could reconcile. I've seen people who are like, I don't know if this is going to work, but they reconcile and they're so glad that they did. But couples wait too long. Go when it's just starting to get uncomfortable, or it's not going well. And when you're still committed, when you still love that person, still care about that person, you haven't been so hurt that it's really hard to get over that baggage, that's when you go. Don't wait. People wait to go to mental health counseling, or, if they're having anxiety, people wait 1 to 10 years sometimes before they get help because they're like, I have to deal with this myself. And, this over responsibility we have to heal ourselves and be better. It's ridiculous. And it really causes us so much more suffering. And so we really have to get over that and allow resources in. We are social beings. Couples are not in a vacuum. They used to live in community for millions of years, right? I mean, not millions because we haven't been humans for millions of years, but our pre-human, other ancestors. But, we've been in community for hundreds of thousands of years anyway. And the couples are not isolated like we are today. We're totally isolated as a couple or as an individual. So counseling is a way of, it's like an elder in a community, in an old prehistory community. Go. It's great.
Awesome. I love that you said that because, again, I think a lot of people needed to hear that because, like you said, a lot of times we wait way too long and then the bridge is already burned and it's too late to try to put out the fire. And
Exactly.
so, with that being said, um, what has been your greatest success story so far in your tenure?
Well, I think there's a lot of couples that were really ready to throw in the towel. Some early on, I don't think, I probably don't remember them because it's been so long. But one couple is coming to mind that she was really ready to go, and he was like, "I'm willing to do anything," and she's like, "I don't feel like I love him anymore. I don't have that affection, or I don't have that, what's it called, like attraction to him." And so I said, we started this, like, pretend you do, you know, put your head on his shoulder, put your hand in his hand, spend some time doing that because it felt so foreign. It had been so long. They'd been in conflict for so long that it was foreign to even touch each other. They hadn't done it in a long time. So it felt weird. And she said, if I touch him or he touches me, it feels weird. I was like, well, then do it more. Because she was committed to staying. But she's like, I don't know if it could come back. And so she allowed him to touch her, and they sat for a while, touching, and they sat for a while touching to get over that unfamiliarity. And it came back, like that affection, that attraction to him, came back because it like that, the fear over it and that feeling over it went away with that repetition.
Awesome, awesome. I love that success story because I feel that it's, impactful for the audience to understand that, you know, you could always, if you believe, you can achieve. And so that's just a testament to, one, speaking to the men out there, you know, how far are you willing to go for what you believe in? Are you willing to actually put in the work to, again, seek higher counsel? The main thing they did was they sought out, Dr. Jodi to, hey, this isn't working. We need help.
And they
Don't.
practice what I asked them to do. Not everyone does that, you know? Not everyone practices my suggestions or but they were committed to it and they practiced it and it worked. I think that's really important, like what you're committed to, what you're willing to do. Some people are like, I'll do anything, but they really won't do anything, you know? I'll do anything for them, but they're not really showing them. They say that, but they're not really willing to do that. And I think that's what we have to invite. What are you willing to do to let the other person know that you're here, that you care? And it takes two of you, unless you're in a throuple or something, but it takes both of you. So one person is not like, I could believe it. I could believe that we'll succeed. And the other person is just out the door. Like it takes both of you to believe in it and to work on it. Sometimes when we change, we transform the relationship, we transform the other person, but they're still participating. Right? So if we change, they're like, notice it and they're on board with us and they're excited about it and they join. But it can't just be one person doing it and believing and achieving, it has to be both. If it's a relationship, it's got to be both.
Awesome, awesome. I love you. I love it. It reminds me of that old school song, It Takes Two to Make the Thing Go
You make
Right.
me know right.
So, awesome, awesome. So again, this has been a wonderful episode. Again, so much knowledge has been shared. Um, I love the thing with the dates, the hikes, the coffee on the lake, Ontario. I love the thank yous, after every little things. And so, before I let you tell the audience where they could find your practice and where to find you, I have some homework inside the Black Garden for everyone listening and viewing. I encourage you. This is two-folded. If you do not have a significant other and you are still on that journey, I encourage you to write down what your needs would be in a relationship and write down one red flag and one deal breaker.
Mm-hmm.
I encourage you to write that down, put it on the vision board, and I encourage you to hold yourself accountable to that as you're on your journey. And that's your homework. And on the flip side, for the seasoned folk, I encourage you to write down what one thing that made you fall in love in the first place. And I also want you to write down two date ideas that you could do in the upcoming month or so. And I encourage you to follow through with it and go on that date and see how that spark either stays lit or gets rekindled. And so that's your
That's
homework.
beautiful, Dominion. That's beautiful.
And so that's your homework. And again, I'll do that homework as well. Write down those red flags and those deal breakers. Again, we're all participating in this. And so with that being said, Dr. Jodi, can you tell the audience and viewers where they could find your
Yeah, my
practice?
website is jodiaman.com, jodiaman.com. My YouTube is at Dr. Jodi, DoctorJodi. I go live every Monday night. It's a question and answer, so you could be a call-in and get free coaching from me live right there on the show. I also upload other videos all about trauma-informed mental health and relationship advice. Come on over and hang out with me. Spread the word. And I have a lot of resources there for you as well. So Jodi Aman.
Awesome, awesome. And again, I encourage everyone to follow and read that blog and as well as attend her show. And with that being said, any last minute advice, tips, tricks that you would give the audience? And then
Yes, I want people to know that they are so much more awesome than they may think that they are right now. They may think that they're inadequate or unworthy or whatever, but no, 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 no. You are amazing. You are deserving. You are worthy. Yes, the world's unfair and that it has nothing to do with you, but you are so much more awesome and you deserve a loving, beautiful relationship. And happy Valentine's Day.
thank you, thank you. And again, happy Valentine's Day. And a hand clap goes to everyone because you made it out of the Black Garden hopefully without any scars or any different first aid needed. And so it's been a wonderful episode 4 of season 2 with Dr. Jodi Aman out of Rochester, New York. If you're in the Rochester area, go ahead and get yourself a slice of pizza. And don't forget to do your homework and attend Jodi's YouTube and lives, read the blog, and check out the website. Until this has been Dominion and Dr. Jodi, until next time, Inside the Black Garden. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to Decree of Dominion. I hope today's episode empowered you to reclaim your voice and walk boldly in your truth. Remember, healing is a journey, and you don't have to walk it alone. If you found value in this episode, make sure to follow us on Spotify and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more inspiring stories and conversations. Stay connected with our community on Facebook and Instagram, where we share resources, encouragement, and continue the conversation. And don't forget, your story matters. Until next time, keep declaring the dominion of the darkest parts of your mind to reveal your true light that shines. God bless you.